All right, welcome back. DC Council Chairman Phil Mendelson says eventually council will approve a deal to build this new stadium on the old RFK site to bring the Washington Commanders back home. And there's still a lot of debate about the cost of the project to the city, but a newly released report commissioned by Mayor Bowser indicates that price tag will be worth it. However, some are questioning if the estimated numbers are too optimistic. And joining us now is Michael Friedman, an assistant research professor at the University of Maryland, who authored a report last year that looked at the economic impact of Nats Park 20 years after it opened. Michael, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Megan.
And first, we got to get your response. What do you think about the report's findings?
They are extraordinarily optimistic. There are a number of unrealistic assumptions in the report. So much so, I believe this is just a PR document rather than a serious attempt at economic analysis to drive policy.
Okay, I was going to ask, we wanted to mention the report, of course, was done by a company working directly with the mayor's office in planning and negotiating this deal. So you do agree that the numbers seem a bit too optimistic here?
I'd almost say the numbers are rather absurd, actually, that they are assuming that everybody coming to an event at the stadium is going to be spending upwards of $900 in the district, and even the most expensive NFL tickets in terms of average ticket price, the Cowboys are less than $400 a ticket. So I really don't see where they're coming up with their numbers.
So you're saying, of course, citing our news partners, WTP, on the report, that you believe they're not taking the right factors into account. Are there any other factors you believe they should be looking at, considering what this new stadium would have?
Well, I think there's a lot of unrealistic assumptions, and they don't even really take a look at some of the opportunity costs of how else can this land be used. So, for instance, they factor into the report the construction costs. And the only way the construction costs really have an economic impact is if you assume there's no construction. This is an area of town that is going to be, frankly, it's the greatest development opportunity in the district in a generation. The land is going to be developed, most likely. If it isn't going to be a football stadium, it's probably going to be the type of mixed-use development that is even going to have a better impact for the district over time. There just has not been the discussion or the conversation of, is a football stadium really the best way to develop this part of town? And I think I would disagree with that proposition.
And Michael, to your point, cities commission these reports. Everything looks good, looks rosy. Then 10 or 15 years down the road, the economic development just doesn't happen. Can you talk about that in the context of RFK? You mentioned the optimism here and kind of the missing factors, and also in the context of other cities and some other similar examples.
Well, I think the best example is here in Washington around Nationals Park. Now, I will say that the development in that part of the city has been absolutely tremendous. But it was happening long before Nationals Park was even on the drawing board. The Yards project was going ahead regardless. The redevelopment of the whole Southeast Federal Center, that was happening. And if you actually took a look around the area around Nationals Park around 2017, 2018, 2019, it was actually one of the few areas in the entire neighborhood that was not in development. I'd like to say that saying Nationals Park is responsible for development in that part of town is like giving credit to the rooster for the sunrise.
Some different sources of that development. Talk to us, Michael, about some of the other highlights that you found in your work on the impact of Nats Park on the DC ecosystem, so to speak, because, you know, in this new report, we're talking about the number of jobs and the amount of money in just the first year alone. What did you actually see in your research on this separate venue?
Well, I would say that when we're taking a look at Nationals Park, really the proper way to think about it is how did it improve or how does it improve the quality of life in the district? I don't think at the end of the day that Mayor Williams and the people involved in redevelopment in that part of town really credit Nationals Park as being an engine driving that train. Best I've heard them describe it, it's one leg of a three-legged stool. It's something nice for a city to have when other things are going well. But is it responsible for creating economic development where there was none before? That unfortunately is not the case.
The correct framing of these projects, you're saying. University of Maryland Assistant Research Professor Michael Friedman. Michael, thank you so much for joining us live here on 7 News.
Okay, thank you.
Take care and stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.